Yes, I am.
All right, we are live. Good evening, fellow Americans. It's great to see everybody in here. It's great to see everybody I know around the fandom. I've got awesome mods, Mark Lurseth, and I've got Christy here. Of course, on the panel tonight, we have OG Star Wars. We have Culture Casino. My first time getting to stream with Culture Casino, and I'm pretty excited about that. I see Elaine Nerd Cookies in the chat. That's awesome, man. It's awesome. Thank you guys for being with us tonight. We're talking about an important topic, and I realize that we all know each other from fandom and everything else, but a little of what you might not know is that a lot of us are also very, passionate and concerned Americans, and also from other places around the globe, and we're all living through this interesting time together, and there's a lot going on. And Tehillim and Parrothead, hail! Great to see you. Um, the important thing that I want to stress, and I think a lot of you, especially those of you that are Americans living in various states, we're all sort of under stay-at-home orders of some shape or form, and I have to ask a question, and this is a question I think that it's on everybody's minds, because we have a lot of people wanting to get back to their livelihoods, get back to work. I have to ask the question: how much liberty have we lost in this process of lockdown? So I will go ahead and give you guys the floor to give some initial thoughts here.
Laura?
Oh, okay. The liberties, I think that I'm calling this social distancing, not social distancing, but social conditioning. And I think we are basically they're basically experimenting on us to see how far they can go with breaking our constitutional rights and the amendments that we have set forth. And that's including the First Amendment when it comes to our, freedom to not only speech, but freedom for religion and all that, and to gather in respect of that. And so I think right now this is a huge test they're doing to see what they can get away with, and how much we would abide by it, and how much we would allow our rights to, get chiseled away, basically.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think you're 100% right. I think that the freedom of assembly is key, and I think that being restricted, that's causing some problems. I mean, we've seen it in California at this point, where they're having protests on the beach and so on.
Yeah.
So they've overstepped. They but in again, I'm never going to defend what they're doing, because I think that if you say, look, we suggest you stay home, that's one thing, but you must stay home, that's something else entirely. And since no one has declared martial law at this point, you cannot be ordered around from point to point or place to place. So these elements that have been put into place are treading on our liberties, which I have a problem with. I don't talk politics on my channel.
No, neither do
I. So when I get an opportunity to talk about that, I'm a libertarian, so I have no dog in any fight, because my party's not big enough, influential enough, whatever. But when I get the opportunity to say, look, this is wrong, as somebody who, pretty much thinks that the Constitution is the document that we need to follow, and any of the other laws that we've added along the way have been I won't say confiscatory, but have been restrictive in a way that is uncomfortable. So between the Constitution and the Bill of Rights, the first 10 amendments to the Constitution, I think that I think we're in a dangerous place, and I think you're right. I think we're being more socially conditioned than anything else at the moment.
Yeah, I think you hit on a great point, Alora, because I do believe it is a soft test to see, just how far it can extend, how much compliance that they're going to get out of people. And, and there has been some censorship involved here. Let's not kid ourselves about that. And Laura, you and I were speaking about this behind the scenes. You're in the area where the two doctors from California, they were explaining what they saw. And by the way, if you happen to see the video before this got suppressed on social media, it got taken down off of Twitter, it got pulled off of YouTube, because if you folks in the chat don't know, YouTube, Susan Wojcicki herself said that they are not going to allow any videos pertaining to that topic unless it goes by the WHO guidelines. So they can immediately remove it if it doesn't agree with the World Health Organization take on the matter. Which, interesting fact, the World Health Organization just seems to be a little lenient toward China. But that's neither here nor there. You know what the score is. So that's why you're not seeing a lot of information on YouTube. You can get information, but it's not the information for someone with an open mind to digest. So what I wanted to allude to, as far as Laura, you saw that video with the two doctors from California, and I saw it myself. I believe that they used good information. They used good numbers to reference what they were speaking about. And I believe that they gave a very good take on the pandemic.
And what he stated that caught my attention is that, they said what we can with all the testing, and he said, I am basing this information off of data that was collected in the hospital where I work at, and the patients that I see, and then data that was basically put together by the CDC. So he's comparing all the data there, and so he's respectively says, we can compare this to the flu. And that the only difference is that this virus is basically attacks the lungs more aggressively. And what really caught my eye or my ears and made me think is that he was addressing people's health while we're in social distancing, how the immunity goes down, and how when you're not when you're basically in seclusion and stuff, and you have these stress factors, you have this where your immune system goes down. And so when we return back to, I guess you could say, quote unquote, normal activities, we are not going to be fit enough to, to overcome this virus that we are eventually all going to get. And he basically says herd immunity is better for this kind of thing than anything else. We can't hide from it. We are all going to get it eventually. It's not going to go away. It needs to run its course.
I want to address a couple of comments here from the chat, guys, because I think RR put it very well.
Okay.
RR says, we live in a post-constitutional world. We have devolved from a constitutional republic into some hybrid of social collectivism.
That's what the modern society wants, is they want a socialism type society now. And so this is why I say they're experimenting, because they're seeing how far they can get away with socialism.
Tehillim29 says, if you can't question government motives, you have found your tyrant.
Yep, and that's where the gun rights come into. Okay.
Yeah.
Max World Entertainment, thank you. Greetings, programs. Can't stay. I just wanted to pop in and give this stream a thumbs up and get it shared. Keep killing it, my brother at Supreme Heretic. Thank you so much, sir. All right. I see, by the way, hail to Lady Mist. I see the Atlantean in the chat. Hail to you, Atlantean. And, oh, man, I appreciate the turnout, guys. Parrothead, of course, is here. Hashtag beware the Drew. Going around. And, of course, we've got another wonderful member of our panel, Lorena Crail. She is very, very, very well-spoken, smart. You guys know her from the fandom, but tonight she is here as a great patriot and great American. And Lorena, it's great to have you.
Oh, it's so wonderful to be here, Drew. Thank you so much for the invite.
Yeah, it's I felt like doing this stream was very important because I was actually sitting around last night. I was when I had gone to bed, I had a rough time sleeping, and I was laying there thinking, I'm going to write an article on this, but I also want to do a stream on this. And I feel that this is something in the forefront of everybody's mind right now.
Yeah.
I mean, we can distract ourselves all day long with the stuff that we talk about in the world of pop culture and the things we cover on our various channels. But this is staring us right in the face, and this is an issue to livelihoods and our way of life.
Absolutely. Every day I am just floored by how many people are willing to trade safety for security, and just how willingly people just want to give up their rights to be slaves to the government, just to say, well, I have this guaranteed, so I will be fine, and just, the crumbs that the government gives me, then I'll just be okay with that. You can take my rights away. I don't care about that. And that's devastating for me to hear, just how comfortable too many people seem to be with that. They're happy with being comfortable. And I think what a lot of people don't realize is that for a long time in this country, things were not comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
They were not very comfortable, at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny because it doesn't matter what side of the aisle that you're on, because this really isn't a partisan issue. This is just something that, it should be understood. I mean, the Constitution is what protects us.
Absolutely. And what I think is, especially when it comes to education, I know that when I was in school, the Constitution was taught, the Bill of Rights was taught, the freedoms that we have in this country were taught. And not only that, it was also taught to why so many people would leave, areas that were heavy with socialism and communism. I mean, I grew up with school friends who had grandparents who had fled communism, some that had fled the Soviet Union, some had fled, Cuba. And I would hear, they would tell the stories that their grandparents would tell. But now it's like the Constitution is bad. The Constitution was written by a bunch of slaveholders. Granted that, only half of the colonies had slavery at the time, but that's all they want to focus on. And just because of that, we should just throw the Constitution out and not teach those fundamental freedoms that we have guaranteed by the Constitution that isn't guaranteed anywhere else in the world.
Yeah.
Well, before I show a really shocking video, and I am going to show it because it's really going to throw you for a loop when you see this, chat, if you haven't already seen it. But Culture Casino, I know that you have a tool that you were speaking about, because I remember seeing you.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, Drew. I don't mean to interrupt you, but hi, Culture Casino. It's good to actually see you.
I know. Hey, it's the first time. It's fantastic. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
We've been interacting forever,
and
but
my
it never
is here, and I love it.
Yes.
All right.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah. I feel blessed. I'm so thankful to Drew. I'm on with two very attractive young women. So this is fantastic.
Bless you.
I mean, they also, like I said, CC, they are great Americans, and the conversations that I've had personally with both OG Star Wars and Lorena, and we've talked about some of the issues with the country and stuff together, and it's just it's amazing. They have a wealth of knowledge. But what I wanted to ask you was, I had seen you on Teresa Martin's stream the other day.
Oh yeah,
You were discussing the tool that you had available. Why don't you explain?
Well, I'm a fortunate. My brother's right in the middle of this thing from the science side of things. He's a developmental biologist, otherwise known as a genetic engineer. And so I'm fortunate enough to have been given early access to a lot of tools that, believe it or not, common citizens can have access to anytime they want to. But some of the videos or live streams that I've done with Teresa, I'd shown off this really interesting gizmo that is where it's the repository and the sharing of all of the data that they've collected from multiple different organizations across across the world. So if I can get it to cooperate, normally it would pop up behind me, but OBS virtual camera is not working right now.
Oh, okay.
So, but give me a second and I will put it on the screen for everyone to see. Right about. Did it work?
You froze.
There it is. Oh, well, it should be working. It was working a minute ago. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you just fine. I'm not seeing.
All right. Let's see.
You might be able to screen share, but
yeah, it's a good tool, and I'll certainly screen share it here in a second. So give me 2 shakes, and I'll try to get back on.
No worries.
Me back up.
Yeah, your cam just froze.
Yeah, of course.
You're in a very scholarly position.
Yes.
I look completely clueless, is what that is. So hang on 2 shakes, and I'll do it the other way. I'll do it the through the browser. It's just not very effective. So,
no worries.
Yeah. But anyway, I'm a fortunate person. I've had access to this tool since the very beginning. And about 2 weeks ago, they were able to start compiling the numbers effectively when it came to the testing that was happening. Not only worldwide numbers, but also numbers that were in just the United States. And so when they were compiling these numbers, they came up with some fascinating results. We by far have exceeded every other country in the United States in testing in total.
Around the globe.
Yeah, we were able to accomplish that task about a week and a half ago. So a lot of information that we're finding is not being conveyed to the populace. So and it's incredibly frustrating. So I am not able to screen share. It looks like my camera has decided to make everything else on my computer not work.
You look like you're frozen too.
Yeah,
you can.
It looks good though.
Oh, man.
I know it's a good one.
Yeah.
I don't look like pixelated Ryan, so I'm lucky. I tell you what,
You can take a screenshot of this, and you can use it as advertisement for your channel. The way you look.
Exactly.
Okay. Well, thank you. You're very kind. I tell you what, I'm going to bounce out. I'll come right back. I'm sorry, Drew.
Okay.
No problem. Go ahead and do that.
So I want to expand on this thing about this social conditioning. And what I find very fascinating is that when you look back on history, and I'm going to go ahead and go with my people, Native Americans, we were put in a situation to where we were put on reservations. We had to get permission to leave. We couldn't leave. We were basically fed by the government, taken care of by the government. We were told what to do. And so now I'm seeing this as the same thing. And I'm like, you guys are not going to like this. We fought to have freedom, not to have the government have us under their control.
Right.
So,
I'm worried about the police state effect here.
Yeah.
That is what scares me, because I have this weird feeling. It's like you're taking Americans and putting them in an uncomfortable position of being in that sort of vein where it's going to turn into another 1776 situation, and we're going to have to, literally fight to get back our freedoms.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And I hate to call it like the elephant in the room, but that's the elephant in the room.
Yeah.
No, you're absolutely right. And one of the things that I talk about, I think I've told you guys this, with researching my family's history. A good portion of my family was in Massachusetts during this period of time.
Yeah.
And you had the British, and I think this is what a lot of people don't understand about why we have 2A. When the British were there in the colonies, basically they had free run of everything. They could take over your house. They could take over your farm. They could take your livestock. They could put troops in your house, and you had to take care of those troops. Okay. And they were just taxing us. And the only thing that we were basically here for was to send our taxes back to the crown country. That was basically the only thing that we were here for. And where you had the British telling you when you could assemble, where you could assemble, how you could assemble, and how many of you were there.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what a lot of people don't remember that, about our history. And because of that, which is why we have the Constitution, why we have things like habeas corpus, why we have innocent until proven guilty, and why, we have arms, because to protect ourselves against a tyrannical government. And right now you have a lot of these governors out here using the coronavirus as an excuse to try to just make tyrannical decisions. And you're right, it's putting Americans in a very uncomfortable position. And it's not something that we are used to having. And you've got that percentage of people, because we're not England, we're not Australia, we're Americans, and we have a history of rebellion.
Yep.
Well, the problem is also when the individual states declared these states of emergency. I mean, governors got powers to do literally almost anything.
Right.
And that is scary.
That is extremely scary.
Because and by the way, as Lorena alluded to 2A, folks of you in the chat that are legal responsible firearm owners, you will notice that and nobody covered this, by the way. You haven't seen any articles written, anything about it anywhere. But if you go to certain stores that you used to find ammunition at, it's gone. And it's not because people bought it. It's because retailers stopped selling it.
Oh, absolutely. You used to be able to go to Walmart and just get, get your clothes, get your popcorn, and get your ammo.
Yeah, I got my first gun at Walmart. So you had to do the background, everything. And now here in California, it's not at Walmart, but now we have to even, abide by a another background check just for ammo.
Yeah, try to find a box of 9mm right now.
It's like a unicorn.
It is. It's crazy.
And the gun stores near me, I think you have to have, because of the Wu-Tang virus, you have to have an appointment anyway, but still ammo is like running low.
Yeah. By the way, hail to Memes of Destruction. I see you in the chat, buddy.
Hey, Memes.
Hi.
Of course, the birthday boy, author Stephen Welton's in the chat. Great to see you as well. Oh man, we've got a good crowd tonight coming in, and big shout out to Stephen for his birthday. I love you, sexy man. All right. So I'm gonna while Culture gets, I imagine he probably had to reboot and everything. I think he did a full reboot. Until he comes back, I'm going to move on to our video. In this chat, I showed the video to OG Star Wars already. This video is going to disturb some people. It's going to make you feel some type of way, I promise you. But it's important that we show this, because this underscores just what we're talking about. And I'll go ahead and share the screen here. Make sure I share audio. I always forget to do that. Okay, so go ahead and share. I've got it full screen already, and I will go ahead and play this. I don't think we're going to get in trouble, guys, because this is from a tweet. So,
Okay.
Maybe that's because all of a sudden it's all around us. You may have seen this tape already. If not, you've likely seen many more like it in the past few weeks. 2 armed officers arrive at a family's home in Wisconsin. Someone has reported the mother to police for arranging a play date for her daughter. That's now a crime. Here's what happened next.
Are you aware that we're in a stay-at-home order right now
Yeah, obviously.
by the government?
Yes,
of
I am
Wisconsin?
aware.
Okay, you're aware of that?
I am aware.
I don't need to explain that to you?
Why are you here?
Because your daughter is going to play at other people's home and you're allowing it to happen. Stop having your kid go by other people's home.
Are we done here?
No, we're not. Your
Okay.
middle initial and your last name.
I'm not giving it to you. I haven't done anything wrong.
Okay.
I already got
Perfect.
it.
We got
Good
it.
for her.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that'll be documented too, that you're uncooperative.
You were uncooperative. That will be documented. Notice the tone they strike with this mother.
Very
They are standing on her
condescending.
property, uninvited,
Mhm.
hectoring her about the so-called crime of allowing her daughter to play outside the house. They're not apologizing for this. They're not embarrassed to be carrying out an order that has no basis in science. They are utterly self-confident. They treat her with pure contempt, like a peasant. And later, the Calumet County Sheriff's Department posted an account of what happened on their Facebook page. In it, they refer to that mother's mobile home 6 times. Just, she lives in a mobile home. Oh, just a prole, just a peasant. Shut up and obey. Who cares what she thinks? They believe they have the right to do that. The question is, where exactly do they get that right? That's a good question. It's a question that we are strongly discouraged from asking. The short answer is governors told them they could.
Mhm.
Yeah.
All right. So I'll stop it there, but that's the gist of the thing, guys. I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy that this can happen. And Wes, hello, great to have you, sir.
Good, Wes.
Hey, Lorena. Hey, everybody. How's it going?
So I'm sure that you just saw the clip.
Last half of it, mentioning that somebody lives in a trailer park. I kind of
Yeah.
crap.
So we just saw 2 sheriff's deputies go to a woman's house in Wisconsin and threaten to arrest her for allowing her daughter to play with the neighbor kids.
Really?
And
Ridiculous.
I find that absolutely reprehensible. And this is, again, what I'm talking about with the police state mentality. Governors have empowered this, and you have cops that are following suit. Now, I do want to make the sort of determination here that not all police are the same. There are plenty of good men and women that serve on police forces that would not go through with an order like this.
Oh, absolutely.
Or they would at least treat someone with the common respect of saying, hey, look,
Right.
we're just here
Yeah.
to give you a reminder.
Right.
Sorry to take up your time, and they would just leave.
And this is what's missing from that respect towards the citizen. They're talking to them as if, you owe us. How dare you attempt to
Yeah.
try us?
The female deputy, how she talked to that woman.
Oh, if that was me, she would have gotten an earful.
Oh
An
no, she would have
earful.
gotten more than an
Oh,
earful.
yeah.
I'm sorry. And
Oh,
the thing
definitely.
is that the child basically was social distancing because the child was nowhere near anybody, and there was a more than 6-foot rule going on between that child and whoever else. But then yet they come up and get up in the mom's face. They're not wearing a mask. They're not even,
Yeah.
going with the precautions of like maybe wearing a mask and gloves or whatever. They're just getting up in her face saying, hey, you're a bad parent. Basically, you're breaking the law, which her constitutional rights supersedes that.
Exactly. And it's like, what law? There's no law. That's just an order and a guideline.
It's a mandate, or it's like it's a mandate almost. If and like I said, the kids need to get out. And I was laying out in my front yard under the sun because it felt so good. I needed to get out of the house, and I take drives to like other cities to at least get out of the house and maybe pick up a coffee through drive-through and come back.
Right. And even here, I see kids, they're out, they're social distancing. I even saw some kids biking around, and they're pretty much 6 feet apart or whatever, and was just fine. But it's just this whole it's just really disgusting how they're treating people. Again, this is not all cops that do that. Could have been this particular apartment, could have been this particular sheriff. It's just like, what? I want to be buddy with the governor. So guess what? You're going to go out and do this. This is how you need to handle it.
Yeah, Scott made a good point. It is totalitarian.
It is.
I just want to say to our newcomers, Brian the Observer, Thomas, great to see you, Thomas Gilkey. And I appreciate you guys showing up for the stream. Scott, it's great to see you. If you want on the panel, I sent you a link, Scott. So you're good. And see, I was right. I knew Culture Casino had to reboot.
Yeah.
Yeah, Drew, you know how people are like right now, they're living in fear and stuff. So you retweeted, about this, about your this live stream, and someone already said to your title, how about lockdowns versus death?
That is
really,
what?
Yes.
You have to be really ignorant to come from that mindset.
You
just do.
You really do. It's like, if you want to live in fear, that's your business.
Yeah.
It's not based on any concrete evidence or anything. You just think, oh, well, if you're out, you're going to kill everybody because you're out. No, that's not how this works. But you want to control my behavior because of your fear.
Wes, what's your take on the police state mentality?
Well, thankfully, where I'm at, well, at least in the counties I'm at, it's been pretty good. But as far as some of these governors and some of these counties, yeah, it's gotten a little bit out of hand, like the examples that you just mentioned in the news reports. I mean, come on, man, it doesn't cost a thing. It doesn't erode your authority to be courteous, at least, a reminder, a warning. I mean, I know it's extraordinary times, but that being said, I think it's gone on a little bit too long. I trust free people to be able that they've gotten the memo on the masks and the PPE and the social distancing. Let's start reopening some stuff up, okay?
Yeah, well, Stephen brought up a great line. You guys all remember this one. Fear will keep the local systems in line. Funny how that came home to roost. Culture Casino, what's your take? I don't know if you saw the whole video, but
I had already seen the Tucker Carlson video. I'd also already seen the doctor video that got taken down that you were speaking about earlier from the doctor that was at Cedars-Sinai Providence.
Yeah.
So that and he's that's a pulmonologist. I mean, he's speaking from a point of authority, and he's telling us what we knew all along. The people that are most at risk are the ones that already have pre-existing conditions and are already infirm. And the vast majority of the people who have passed from this have been older folks. That doesn't bode well for me, but they've been older folks. So, but it's one of those things where if you look behind me, this is the tool we were talking about before my computer decided to take a nap. So this is from the System Science and Engineering Department at Johns Hopkins University, in Maryland. Now, this tool is available to anybody. You can go look for it. All right. And as you can see, this is over here. Sorry. If you look over there, that is That is the whole world, right? The map of the whole world.
Right.
And if you look to my right, okay, that's the total number of confirmed cases worldwide. Okay. In the blue number on right over my head, okay, that's the total amount of tests that we've done in the United States. All right. And so I'm going to try to do something which is difficult, which is to interact with this. And I'm going to go to the US, and it's going to highlight the United States, and it's going to tell us right here. My mouse is over it, I think.
Yeah,
that it's 1.1 million total confirmed cases in the United States, right? Mm-hmm. So when we look at that number, and then we look at how many folks we have tested, you can see there we've tested far more folks than maybe should have been tested in the first place, but they were exhibiting at least 3 of the symptoms that are supposedly a part of what represents this virus. Okay. So you also see the number that is in white, which is the number of people that have passed away in this country. Now, where we started to see the largest amount of cases and people that were passing away was in the state of Washington. And I know that Drew knows AFK Bard, and that is the state that AFK Bard is in. And I'm not doxing her. So, anyway, so with that being said, those cases were all in one nursing home. Or the majority of the early deaths were all in one nursing facility. Mm-hmm. So all we're talking about here is we're talking about the same thing that happened almost 100 years ago, just in a different way. We have more international travel. We have a lot more freedom in this country. We have a lot more populous regions in this country and in the world. And the places where all the red is that's behind me, all that, those are densely populated areas. So no kidding. So now that everybody understands what Wes was talking about is, the idea of having personal protection equipment, PPE, and having the ability to, distance from each other. Any reasonable person should be responsible for their own actions. That's what liberty is. The freedom of myself to throw my fist ends at your nose. And that's exactly how we should be treating this type of thing. Now, of course, a sneeze scientifically can travel up to 21 feet, a forceful enough sneeze, and a cough similar. But we also understand that this particular disease, virus, is a weak one, just like every other one. When it's exposed to temperature above 95 degrees, when it's exposed to high humidity environments, it has a shorter shelf life. It remains. It doesn't stay airborne as long. It passes away before it gets to us. Mm-hmm. So all of those things are beneficial in the United States because we're coming into summer, and this is what nobody's going to say out loud, is that we're naturally going to see a reduced number of cases as it gets hotter. So. Right. Those are the expectations. So, but when it comes to what the government is doing right now, it's offensive. If they are going to enforce it in the manner that they were, because they were speaking to that woman in that video incredibly condescendingly, that was repulsive.
Well, yeah, and we get back to the police state mentality. See, a lot of things. I understand why the president sort of passed the buck to the state and local leadership to handle it, because the federal government needs to take more of an overwatch type of role. So they're letting the state and local leaders handle it. However, a lot of the state and local leaders are ambitious and in it for themselves. And the minute they got that opportunity, well, you see where it's gone.
Overreach.
When they get a chance to do unfettered power.
Hey, Brian, wait one second. I do want to introduce you. This is my dear friend Brian the Observer. I believe that Brian, that you know Wes. I don't know if you've met Culture Casino.
I don't believe I have. It's been a while, but I know I've been on a stream with OG Star Wars Legends.
Yes.
And I'm not familiar with Lorena.
But well, Lorena, Brian, Lorena. There you go.
Hi, Brian. Nice to meet you.
Hi, nice to meet you.
But both Brian and Wes, shout out to them. They write for my new website, Six to Ball, as well. They contribute, so I'm very happy to have them on board. And Brian's been keeping a keen eye more so on the China situation, because we've had a couple articles that he's written about the censorship coming out of there. Like, he wrote an excellent piece about TikTok and the way that functions really as a spy application. So those of you that have children, anything else, please do exercise care. Pay attention to what you allow your kids to access, because TikTok is genuinely a security risk. And Brian did some good investigating on that. So I just wanted to pass along that info in case anybody has kids that are using TikTok, or you're using TikTok yourself. Well, take a second look, because it's not very good with where your information's going and what they're doing with when you're on camera. So back to what we're talking about, though. Go ahead, Brian, chime in. What were you going to say about the police state?
Well, what I was going to say is, when you give someone an opportunity to exercise unfettered power, they're gonna do that, and it's not going to be good, because they take it as a chance to say, okay, I could be an executive with no checks and balances, because normally a mayor has a city manager and a city council to deal with, as well as the county. Same can be said for the county. Some counties do have a mayor. I know. Orange County does here in Florida, but the governor is like, okay, so they look at it as an opportunity to do things without checking with the legislator or checking with the courts to do. And remember, all of this is done with an executive order. It's not a mandate. It's a suggestion. However, the color of law, it kind of puts everybody in a state of fear, and that's the problem. What we have here.
Well, see, one thing that's important that we need to remember, going back to that video, is if somebody, for example, comes onto your property, like those sheriff's deputies did with that woman, you are not required to give them your personal information.
You are not required to actually come to the door. That's the Fourth Amendment, I believe. You don't have to let them in. You don't even have to answer.
Yeah.
Yep. Come back with a warrant.
Yep.
Exactly. And that's the thing, is because you actually got to go do the paperwork and process and everything. Like here in Florida, I know it's a little bit different in the southern counties. Because they got the high senior population. They actually got more cases than anybody else, but they're still going to be on a longer lockdown than the rest of the state. We're going to do a soft opening on Monday. Retail stores will open, restaurants will open, 25% capacity, but nothing much else. But regardless, like the governor says, okay, you know what? If you want fresh air, go take a walk around the block.
Yeah.
No one's going to stop you, and no one better stop you, or else. If you want to go outside, get some fresh air, that's fine. Sunshine is good for you. So, and basically he gave a warning. It's like, anyone abusing power, this is a problem. And so it was like one of those, okay, you trust me, I trust you, let's work together type of thing. For the most part.
Well, there's a lot of crazy measures that are in place also. I mean, if you pay attention, and I'm sure that, again, those of you in chat, you guys and gals on the panel, I'm sure that you've seen the stuff on Twitter, the drones flying around. I believe that's in New York, where they're flying around and they're barking out orders to people, you must practice social distancing, stay 6 feet apart for your safety.
And then weren't the drones donated by China?
Yes, right? Irony of all irony.
This is New York City, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's got to be. Yeah. Yeah, I'd heard that.
Well, what about like the Jewish? And did you see that comment from the mayor?
I did.
Oh, yeah.
That was
God.
reprehensible.
That was awful.
Yeah, and then he goes on to say the Jewish community, and then he says other communities. So he backtracks a little bit on that, but basically he's they're following their religious freedom, their religious rights to take. And it was a funeral, I believe.
That's the first. That's First Amendment. That's covered under the First Amendment. Freedom of religion, press, and speech, all under the First Amendment.
Yeah,
Right to assemble.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yep. Exactly.
And so they're going according to their religious beliefs and taking care of their deceased one according to their religious belief. So all those who need to be there are there. They're not compromising anybody else because no one's supposed to be out anyways. So there was no sense in what he had did. And I think also that same mayor of New York, was also spotted golfing or doing other things, or even being with a bunch of nurses and stuff without wearing the proper mask or anything like that. So I mean, a lot of these governors, a lot of these mayors and stuff that are in these high positions, you see them out golfing, you see them, out in public without their masks and all that. And then and I don't know if your states are doing this, but with California here, our governor is like basically on the TV every single day. It feels like it's like you're getting hypnotized with everything they have to say.
Yeah.
Every day it's really getting to be too much.
Angela Straven says, I find it funny that eye doctors' offices are closed in my area, but a designer clothing FC is open because it is classified as essential, but eye doctors are not.
Take a moment and think about this. The states that have the most heavy-handed approach to this are governed by who?
Yeah.
Democrats. But the thing with Pennsylvania is because it used to be red. Now it's kind of purple. Even though we have a Democratic governor, our legislature is predominantly Republican.
Mm-hmm.
So they're able to push back on the governor. So the Pennsylvania governor, he's not as heavy-handed with his actions and speech. It's like, say, New York or some of the other ones, but he's trying as best as he possibly can to do this. But we have the Republican legislature pushing back.
I think what also the thing that I'd like to say about that is that you notice that regardless of what their political affiliation is, they're very elitist.
Yes, very. They treat us
and
like we're nothing. We just exist or just pay taxes and that's it.
Right. Not and that we're not their actual constituents. Their constituents are special interests. So it's a frustration that I've had with politics for 30 years. So I'm glad everybody else is here.
Yeah.
Did I miss something on this? Because Parrot had mentioned don't forget Cuomo coming out. June. What was
I think he's not talking about the governor Cuomo. I think he's talking about Fredo.
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 And I can say that because I'm Italian, and I don't care if people call me Fredo either.
His brother, the governor's brother, is a reporter for CNN. Yeah. And he was caught, by someone out well away from his actual home at a location where he is going to be building a home when he was supposed to be quarantined and not leaving his basement. And so the other day, I think I clipped the video, but it's not on this computer. But I clipped the video of him emerging from his tomb, which is what I think Parrothead is referring to.
Okay.
And it was like, and this is the first time I've been out of the basement in blah blah blah, and that's a load of crap because the police showed up at his house to take his statement on on his illegal activity, and so it's been like Survivor or some kind of unscripted television that he's been doing or had been doing every day from his basement. So again, elitist.
Well, you guys were talking about what's going on in PA. It's funny because, I live here in Ohio, And I want to share this little anecdote with you guys because this was interesting. So we were supposed to open up on the 1st, but overnight on, I believe it was the 29th or 30th, we had this mysterious spike, supposedly, where we went over 1,000 deaths here in Ohio now. And then the next day, when the governor came on to say, what businesses were going to be reopened, he said, well, it's going to be very, very gradual and it's going to be very small. And we've had to do a reduction now because we've seen a spike. And he has this doctor, Dr. Amy Acton, is the person advising the governor on everything with the Ohio Department of Health, I guess. And she, we joke when we see her on TV, we jokingly call her, Dr. Amy Gloom, because she always paints the bleakest picture. But they're using really weird and outdated models here in Ohio to base the state of emergency off of. So everything's all out of whack. And the governor here, even though that he's a Republican, is acting more like a fearmonger than anything. And, people are getting ready to, there's business owners already saying, well, I'm going to open my business on a certain day and let them try to come for me, because.
Well, yeah, I mean, because legally they can. They have. There's nothing. There's nothing that's stopping them legally because they could take it to the courts.
Yeah, and that's why we're having protests in the Capitol, because this is getting crazy. So you're telling us, well, we're going to reopen to a small degree, but by the way, here's the kicker: governor extended the stay-at-home order for another month. So we're technically under lockdown here in Ohio for the month of May yet.
That's messed up, because if you do not get out now while it's warming up, you're gonna have a less of chance of surviving this thing if it comes around again. And there's halfway in, halfway out of herd immunity. Now, I think we all could have opened up. Most of us could have opened up last week and been fine.
Well, what they tell us on TV, Brian, is, we'll open your windows, let air circulate through the house.
Get out of the house. Get out of the house. The house, man.
They legitimately said that on TV, guys. They said, open up your windows, let air circulate through your house.
Seriously?
One of the most effective ways to bolster your immune system is to have vitamin D.
Oh, yeah.
Vitamin D,
Absolutely.
it comes from exposure to sunshine.
Mm-hmm.
In the United States, 65 to 75% of the population is woefully low on vitamin D anyway. So we're in a position where we're telling people not to go outside to get more sun so their body can produce vitamin D to improve their immunity. That doesn't make sense. And fresh air isn't going to do it.
Well, I want to give a shout out to my boy, Dig Outlaw. I don't think he's in the chat tonight, but he's a former doctor. I talked to him on Twitter quite a bit, and Adega told me, he said, "Look, here they're not going to tell you this type of shit on television. Just go to the store, get you, some vitamin C, some vitamin D3, some zinc."
Yes.
And
oh yes, exactly.
And you're good. He's like, build up your immune system as you go, and you'll be fine.
What builds up your immune system is basically not only like fresh air and stuff like that. It's working out, it's eating right, and it's getting out of the cave, basically your home.
Well, they're trying to paint this bleak picture, guys, like, if there wasn't the gas price crash, well, now we're going to have supply chain disruption where we're going to have a meat shortage. Then they're talking about there could be a shortage of vegetables and this and that. and they're trying to, doom and gloom left and right. And again, it's the fear-mongering attitude. And at the same time, you're getting the pushback from your local officials about, enforcing the stay-at-home order. I mean, I've seen pictures on Twitter across different states where they literally have 2x4s across basketball rims so people can't gather to play, a game of pickup basketball.
That is ridiculous.
I mean, the beaches in California, not the beaches, but like the skate park. Filling the skate park with sand.
Yeah.
You know how much money it's going to cost to dig out that skate park?
Yeah.
Brian, did you see that the skaters went and got that? They're taking the sand out of there.
That's awesome.
Did they put dirt? So there was like a dirt bike.
Yeah, actually, the dirt bike kids got to it like the next day. That's exactly right, and they were. Yeah, it was fantastic. They kind of leveled it out and smoothed it out, and then they were riding their dirt bikes through the thing. And it's like, you're not going to stop us. And of course, the skaters the other day, and I think that was OG Sour Laura that just said that they were starting to clean out that the skaters are starting to clean it out. So I don't know why you're going to fight your populace on this stuff. It's absolutely stupid.
No, you can't. And I'm under the impression that most of the population probably got exposed to this thing. And I think I have, and I want to say around January and possibly again last month too. And I think that we've all been exposed to this and not even known it.
Yeah,
well, I had some weird mystery illness in December, and I've swapped notes with other people around here, and lots of people have had something in December that was different.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't doubt that it was here earlier, because whatever I had, you'd go down, really bad fatigue, sore throat, tightness in the chest, and then you'd feel better, and then you'd be smacked down again, and then you'd feel better, and then you get smacked down. It lasted 3 weeks for me. So
I mean that too. And it just wouldn't go away. I couldn't get antibiotics for it because my doctor was like, it's viral. You're just going to have to ride it out. And I was just miserable for 3 weeks. I didn't know what the heck was going on.
Yeah.
And what makes matters go on.
When you look at the ports, like all the trade ports like San Francisco, LA, and New York and stuff, that these areas, when you look at it and how it was brought in, especially with the shipment between China and here, these areas probably were exposed first. And so when you say, oh, I felt like I might have had it earlier, there has been testings that I've heard, and correct me if I'm wrong, that shows that this is people already built immunity up to it that had it a while back, starting in January, December, maybe even before then. Yeah, December, November.
Yeah, they've traced the first. They believe they isolated the first death in December here in the United States. They believe that based on backtracking in China, that it's quite possible that it was maybe even the end of September, October there. So. The problem is we still do not get accurate information out of China. So right now, in all the mathematical models,
I wouldn't get accurate stuff from China.
Yeah, if you look behind me right now, because my buddy Drew lives in Ohio, I put Ohio up here. But if you look behind me right now, IHME has thrown away almost all of the Chinese numbers and has just incorporated the other organizations around the world to throw numbers into the mathematical models. That this is the IHME model behind me. So. You theoretically, just so you know, Drew, you theoretically should achieve herd immunity. Oh wow, it's not updating. Sometime around what does this say? I just lost it. You should achieve it sometime around May 7th.
Okay.
For herd immunity, so you should have 0 or possibly 1 death per day at that point. And then once we get to the point of, it's not really herd immunity, it's called containment strategy. Herd immunity comes around when you're about 70% of your populace has built an immunity to it. So we're not there by any stretch of the imagination in the United States. But we're at the point of a containment strategy can work. And so if we continue to practice just the common sense, there is no need for these jackbooted thug tactics that are being used in much of the country.
Well, that's
So
what
it's
that's
Go
what
ahead.
I was going to say. What I'm thinking now is, again, a lot of these governors are enjoying this power. They're just not going to hand it back right away. They're taking advantage of it, and it sucks because for the average citizen, I mean, you don't know where you can take a step, if you can even walk in a park. I mean, I've seen pictures of parks with caution tape.
Yeah, the park across from me has caution tape over the playground.
Yeah, mine does too.
Yeah,
I
and
mean,
what's so sad is that these people who are like just taking this all in without doing their own research, and then also just believing what the government is saying, think that this social distancing, this quarantine is going to get rid of the virus.
No.
And
No,
that's not
this-
and that's not
yeah.
gonna happen. I was telling some other people, I said, we've had epidemics in this country.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Let them happen. For example, even in the South, the weather gets hot. First thing you worry about, well, back then, 1800s, was getting malaria, yellow
Yep.
fever. They knew it.
Yep.
Every year, it comes in every year. They
Mhm.
tried to do mitigation methods, tried to get quinine, all of that, but you still had people that died. But they put things in place to slow the spread of that, separating the sick, from the healthy as soon as they saw symptoms.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And go ahead.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
And I just don't get with this mentality here when we have evidence of when power is taken away from you. And again, I'll go back to my culture. When power is taken away from you and you are controlled by the government, it's a lesson right here. Take a look at at Native Americans when they were told they couldn't even go off the reservations, and we were forced to eat what the government gave us, and our hunting rights were taken away. And so I see this just the same.
Well, and here's the thing. They're talking about you're talking about soon that they're trying so hard to come up with a vaccine. They want to keep pushing. A vaccine is the answer. Vaccine is the answer. You notice that they're not offering alternative medicine. There's no hey, look, for those of you, they're not giving people options. They're not saying, for those of you that don't like having a shot, maybe you want to use supplements, or maybe you want to do this. Any normal system that put the people first would give the people options, would give people information where they have options. The people aren't getting that. You're not getting that from anywhere. You're certainly not getting that from mainstream media. If you turn on anything mainstream media right now, even print mainstream media, I promise you, any of you in chat, any of you on the panel, if you read or watch mainstream media, it is 100% doom and gloom and worst outcome. There is never any.
Oh yeah,
I don't watch it.
And what bothers me is okay, we got to flatten the curve. Okay, so we flattened the curve.
We did.
Really,
we did.
We did.
Yeah.
Okay, and then it's oh well, we got to make sure it's gone. Well, no, you're never gonna make sure it's gone. But
Not gonna be gone.
They want to make sure that they keep you dependent, because if you're dependent upon them, oh well, no job. Oh, listen to us. We can give you money. We'll tax the rich and we'll give it to you. It's it's just what the heck did we do? What's wrong? I mean,
They're actually, now that you mentioned that, Brian, there actually is a story that's happening here in California. Anyways, with the kicker and the unemployment, people are starting to open up, and the employees aren't wanting to go back to work because they're making more on unemployment.
Yeah, you get more money sitting on ass than working.
That's what's unfortunate.
Well, if you impose too many taxes across,
wasn't California bankrupt not too far back?
Oh yeah,
yeah, we did.
You can thank their Buddy Newsom for that one. But
I thought that would be Gray Davis, right?
Yeah,
that was Gray Davis. Yeah, they fixed a lot of that under Governor Brown. They had a reserve fund that they built up, so it's okay now. But taxes are still way too high. I'll tell you one thing: if you go to $1 million neighborhood in California, you'll see a lot of Nevada plates on those cars. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. Well, see, the thing is, you know, you have to be careful with taxation as it is, because you tax too much, you're going to choke off entrepreneurship.
Oh
People,
yeah.
people aren't going to go out and hustle to start their own companies and things like that. With the crisis, as it is right now, people that have great ideas and possibly want to get into some sort of business, they're not going to, because they feel hopeless. Especially, my God, if they're watching what's on television, of course they feel hopeless.
Well, I mean, but also it does affect whole entire industries, not just companies, but I mean industries.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Like, let's look at what I do for a living. I do audio visual for events. I do sound for events, lighting, video, whatever, stagehand, both corporate and entertainment based. Now, what's going to happen is, like, even if everything turns back on tomorrow, people are still going to have to recoup their money to put on an event. Number one, number two, fear has been beaten into them so hard that they'll be reluctant to have an event or have one to a high capacity.
Well, I can promise you, Brian, the last thing on people's minds right now, nobody's going to be going to concerts at the moment.
No one's going to be going to concerts.
You're going to suffer.
It's only going to be super fans that'll go to sporting events that have the extra dough, or that have that season ticket pass, or the lifetime season ticket in some cases. It's and all the awards, ceremonies, and accolades, that's going to be few and far between, maybe a couple a year. And stuff that's been put on by the local paper and whatever, that happens a lot, and different institutes and different charity organizations happens a lot. I mean, I can't even like tell you how many of them there are in a year just locally. That's not going to happen anymore, at least not to the degree. So no. I have to figure out what I'm going to do for a living, and I have a couple different ideas, but I have to accept the fact that I might not ever have a lucrative career again in this industry.
I know, it's a sobering thing to think about, man. All right, so Parrothead asked the $1 million question, no pun intended. What are they going to do when the rich run out of money?
What is it that Margaret Thatcher said? The problem with socialism is eventually you run out of other people's money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
I think it's going to end up being like that Black Mirror episode, where everybody rides bicycles and they have, avatars that watch all of the reality shows. Everybody's kind of separated in their rooms.
Mm-hmm. RR says they're going to wait for the pensions to pop. Yeah, that's probably a big thing right there. And then
again, people that have pensions, they need to look at where it's at, because I'm going to say that a lot of companies have their pensions with companies that tie directly to Beijing.
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
So
even here in California with PERS is crazily underfunded. I think it's they call it the silver tsunami, because a lot of people are taking early retirement, even though they're getting less, because they don't think it's going to be there.
Yeah.
I want to point out this. Little Pope Boy says, I got my stimulus money. You got me $1,200, and I'm getting $700 a week for unemployment. But I'm sick of sitting on my ass. I want to work. Thanks for
exactly. People want to get out of the house.
They do. They want to get out. They want to actually do the work to provide for their families, make a living for themselves.
And even if they don't want to ever work again, they still want to go to places like the beach, the park. Different stores and shops.
It's like I was telling someone, I'm fortunate enough. Oh, I'm sorry, Brian. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Oh, no. Basically, I was done. I mean, it just, they want to be able to get out of the house,
right?
Even if they never want to work again, they still want to be able to get out of the house once in a while.
Right. Because I work in IT, so we're pretty much virtual, and it's not the same as, before this. If you're working at home, you can get up, go to the gym, take your laptop, hang out at Panera Bread and work the rest of the day, go somewhere else, then go home, go out in your patio, go to the park or whatever. There were all these other places, that you could go even when you're working from home. Now it's like even if you do go out, there's hardly anything,
Yeah. And what's so crazy is right now, like this time last year and like years before, like the powwow season for Native Americans is in full swings. We are basically traveling either from powwow to powwow within state or even out of state from powwow to powwow, seeing everybody, seeing family, all of that, and dancing together. And now one of my really close friends on Facebook, she organized a social distancing powwow where everything is online. But the point is, it's like, we come basically, humans come from tribes. We have large families. We come from races and cultures that have tribalisms to where we have our culture, our religion and stuff, and that's all being taken away as well.
Yeah, I do really quick. Big shout out to Christy. She's doing such a good job modding, and she takes the time right in the middle to send me info. So I'm gonna go ahead and share this story real quick that she sent me because it's pretty relevant to what we're discussing, and I thought that this was quite interesting. Even though
Christy's on Tommy levels of moddom.
Yes,
yeah.
She's awesome.
Wow.
She's outstanding.
No, high praise, right?
Yeah. So this story, and I hate Yahoo News, but this is via Yahoo News, via the AP. New Mexico takes more drastic measures against virus hotspot, and this comes out of Santa Fe, a city that is a modern-day trading post on the southern outskirts of the Navajo Nation, was on lockdown over the weekend under the watch of National Guard troops and state police to discourage non-essential travel and commerce as local coronavirus infections soar. Invoking provisions of the State Riot Control Act, New Mexico Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham ordered residents of Gallup to remain home except for emergencies and blocked roads leading in and out of town, to non-essential travel and any vehicles carrying more than 2 people. Wow.
Ooh.
So it says here later in the article, some visitors were caught off guard as they traveled from Navajo Nation to stack up on supplies, only to find entire sections of the Gallup Walmart cordoned off as sales were restricted to food and essential commodities. And they asked a resident for comment. He said they didn't tell us on the radio or anything. And he went in search of food, games, baby wipes, and other items for his family. You don't find out until you get in there and that it's just essential items. I mean, what the hell?
Well, I can tell you right now that exceeds not only the spirit of the law, but the letter of the law. And it was that particular law that they're trying to apply does not apply. So there's a pretty big case to be made in the future against that type of action, but that doesn't help anybody right now. But yeah, that's more overreach. That's awful. Wow. Good find, Christy. My gosh.
Yep.
Yeah. The RR said the whole BS about whose job is or isn't essential is a way of saying your life doesn't matter. Everyone's lives matter. All human life and what they do is essential to the laws of nature.
Didn't Governor Cuomo say to people like that protesting him, saying we want our jobs back? And he's like, well, why don't you go work as an essential worker? Remember?
Yeah, that's like
Yeah.
a version of that.
Work for the government. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
get a government
gosh.
job. That's almost like
That's so elitist.
So elitist. It reminds me a lot of socialist countries that
I'm not
when
their
I was
servant.
in college, I would go to school with kids who their parents were government officials in other countries.
Mhm.
And they pretty much have, everyone, it's like, what's the best job? Everyone pretty much works for the government.
Yeah, people need to get back to work. Look, that stimulus check was great. $1,200 was great. But that I mean, in a situation like I'm in, and you guys that are personal friends of mine, you know this. You know that my mom and I are struggling mightily. I mean, I'm in a really shitty situation here, and that $1,200, that's one round of bills. That's it.
Yeah, that's only like 1 month if you're lucky.
Yeah, that's.
I mean, I'm lucky. I got a few months saved up. I mean, if this continues, and I don't get any work, but
Yeah.
I had to pay easily $1,500 this last month. That's just in normal expenses.
Yeah,
That's normal expenses.
Well, I didn't get a check, so I don't know what you're talking about.
I
I
haven't
don't
gotten a
think
check
I'm
either.
getting one. I think they just laughed and said, "No, you keep paying those taxes. You're not getting anything."
Yeah, exactly. Same here too.
Yeah. But I'm glad some people are, because we've all paid into a system for a very long
definitely.
time. So, but what concerns me is that's not tax money, guys. That's $1 trillion of printed worthless.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's that. We're gonna see the
Manufactured
inflation soon.
Yeah.
That's just what's gonna that's what's gonna happen. And I'm gonna say it. It's not. Well, I don't know. Is it okay to say bad things about our friends from the East, Drew?
Don't
Well,
bother me.
let's just keep it in good vernacular. But
Okay, well, I'm saying there's a certain region out east that is looking down the barrel of probably having sanctions put on them by the whole world. That's all I'm saying, and I think
Oh.
that's what should happen. If
Yeah.
not, and that's actually being nice over
Yes,
what could happen.
right. The country with the most
Well-
favored nation status, I should say.
Yeah, hopefully we take that away.
Well, the the bottom line is, look, at the very least, if whatever you want to speculate the origins of the crisis is, at the very least, it's horrible neglect and horrible mismanagement on their part. On that end, if it was accidental, and if it wasn't, then it was an act of war upon the world.
Yeah.
So, sanctions is the very least.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we definitely need to change our trading relationship with them.
Oh, absolutely.
There has to be. If I was the president right now, I would be saying, if you are a company that does business in the United States of America, you bring your ass home and you establish your operations in our country.
I think those companies that are based and established in the U.S. should, by their own conviction, not even do anything there. However, there are some that aren't going to care. But
I mean, I can give you a prime example. A company run by a rat. Oh, wait, it's a mouse, not a rat. It's a mouse, not a rat, who has substantial properties in the most favored nation.
I was dissing on Disney before it was cool. You could find the shirt in my Teespring store. No, I was. I live here in the state. They drove the labor wages way down, and I blame that Satanist with a pedo mustache who is Walt Disney. So I don't care. Oh yeah,
I totally feel you, Brian, because my family is from Florida, and let's just say the way they came in and did it, although they could, doesn't mean that they should have, and the repercussions are it's just reprehensible, really.
Yeah, and look, I did an investigative article, and that was back last year for Bounding, and Wes, you read that article because we talked about it on one of your streams. Just how much Chinese money is tied up, especially in the gaming industry.
Mm-hmm.
And I covered that. I mean, it's crazy, and just to think about it, and it's stuff that you guys know, and that's one of the reasons I know that a number of our friends play Fortnite. Well, one of the reasons that I don't support Fortnite is the fact that Epic Games is big time tied up with Chinese money. I won't support Epic Games at all whatsoever, nor will I support Fortnite for that reason. That's one of the big reasons I don't play it, other than the fact I think it sucks.
Yeah, I think it sucks too.
Yeah. But do you realize how much stuff we rely on from that country? Like
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
I was stunned when I heard how much we depend on them for antibiotics.
Mm-hmm.
That is such. I couldn't believe that when I heard that.
Well, that's
a crazy security risk.
Basically.
Yeah,
So-
that's one thing.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, CC. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to stop.
No. I'm just going to say that you guys don't even know the half of it. If you heard of a guy named George Soros,
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
he's taken every single one of his manufacturing interests and moved them to China. So the reason that the masks didn't make it to the United States was because the 3M manufacturer is in China. Did you know China turned that boat around?
I heard about that. Yeah.
So there are so many different companies that he owns that or has a substantial stake in that are their manufacturing base is in China. They've relocated almost all of their operations, other than where they collect their money, to China. So it is, but at the same time, and you're not going to hear this from a lot of people, and China's just a thing I pay attention to. But a lot of U.S. companies have started to make the shift from China to other locations, including back to the U.S. with their manufacturing interests. We just didn't do it fast enough, and we didn't do it soon enough.
Yeah.
But it had already been happening because they were getting bad press because of the working conditions and the slave labor and all of the other atrocities that are committed on a daily basis in that country. So the world's well aware of what's happening to the Uyghurs and and other Muslim population there. So it's not a secret. So you're starting to see countries that try to pretend like they're intellectually honest and have some moral authority.
They use the word salad. They use the word salad to make themselves look smart and to try to steer the whole thing back to, hey, maybe we should cooperate and everything. But when someone's a mouthpiece for the state-run media over there, like Xinhua News or the World Daily Times or the Daily Times, I don't know what they call them. Not World Net Daily. Don't get confused with them. No, but and so many other institutions there that are fronts for the government. And they like to say cooperation, and I've heard not agents, but people that used to work for the Chinese government saying we have what's called a duality, to say on one hand we talk nice and smart and everything, and on the other hand we do everything we can to kind of like insult and deteriorate and make the West look bad. And so when you go up about it, they have these puppets in place to have them steer back to say, oh no, they're good. So it's kind of like a split personality. A split personality was in the form of journalism. That's exactly the strategy of the CCP.
Well, that is exactly why, that was one of the driving forces, why I started the website. That's why I started Sickest of All, because, you guys know that I write for Bounding and I got my start there. I'm still writing for Bounding, but, and I'm not trying to lessen the front of the culture war that we're all fighting on the front lines for, but it's to be able to talk about topics that we're talking about now, because there's not enough independent, open-minded media out there. And for all of my friends, all these great Americans here on this panel, all the great people from all over the world in the chat. I know you guys are trying to do your thing on YouTube and make videos and try to bring some, shine a spotlight on things like this every so often, but we're being suppressed. We're being suppressed on this platform because big tech big tech is in bed with the elitist people.
Oh yeah,
absolutely.
I mean,
absolutely.
it's a big thing, and we have an opportunity here as a small channel. When I say small channels, or channels that are not monetized, and it's not like people like Jeremy or Mecca or World Class don't want to talk about these things. Is that they know if they do, they'll get demonetized.
That money goes bye bye.
Yeah, exactly. It goes bye bye. So they do whatever they can to do what they can within those rules of being monetized. And so, and I don't fault them. I don't. I never do. But we can talk about that, and especially with the news publication that you started, Drew. We could talk about these things, all the things that people are afraid to talk about or fear of being deplatformed.
Well, yeah, for those of you out there that aren't monetized, if you have a channel and if you tend to speak up about things like this, I mean, hey, it's nothing but a good thing because it helps. People more and more, and I always bang this drum, but it's true, more and more people are looking to folks like us to talk about things like this because we approach it with an open mind. We're not controlled by a narrative. We'll come out and we'll speak on it honestly, and we'll gather facts, and give them, disseminate information that is beneficial. We're not going to sit there and code it with the narrative. We're going to just tell you, hey, look, this is happening. And we're going to explain it to people. And that's what I think is important. We're guerrilla journalism basically right now, and that's a good thing because there needs to be that out there to temper the mainstream media right now, because really and truly the mainstream media has all sold out. They all have.
Yeah, they all do. And as you notice, they repeat the same story over and over again. Parrots. You see it on one site, then it goes to another site, then it goes to another Twitter feed, another Twitter feed. And it's like the same narrative repeated over and over and over again.
Circular reasoning.
Yeah, and I've seen this posted too, is that when you this person screened all these news channels, like the beginning of their news broadcast, and basically they say all the same thing. So he synced them up and they're saying all the same thing.
Oh, I saw that.
I did see that.
I saw that. Oh my God.
Yeah, but
that was chilling.
That happens all the time because they no longer do research when they report. That's why I respect people like Drew and John Trent and all the people that actually do the work and the research. Yeah. They don't research anything. They're sent a press release and then they just parse the press release for their story. Yeah. That's it. Mm-hmm. That's the extent of news gathering nowadays, which is why it's all garbage.
Yeah, I mean, I just uploaded a video on a topic about May Day and maypoles and whatever. And one of the articles I come across is like, you just repeated yourself 3 times within an article. I hate that. So they stretch out just to get the word count to post an article. Mm-hmm. I hate that.
Well, they're all Mike Zero, dude. All of them. Mike Zero.
Hey,
I think Mike Zero might be a little bit better than them.
Mike Zero has like he's kind of a celebrity now, man.
Oh, I say it with love. I'm not even punching up. I just hate the dude's a genius. See, I mean, Gary says it better than anybody. The guy just rearranges a bunch of words and then puts in a little bit of whatever he's trying to say, and that's it. And so for like 8 minutes of whatever it is, that's filler. It's like 1 minute of actual stuff.
It's like let's take a topic. The dog went across the street. Yesterday, the dog went across the street. It was a brown dog. The dog went across the street. I mean, and you have seen that repeated like 2 or 3 times and phrased 5 different ways in the same article.
Well, when the dog crossed the street, he crossed the street pretty briskly, but then he slowed down when he crossed the street. Later, when he crossed back across the street, his feet were hurt, so he went a little faster. So when he got back across the street, he got there faster then.
Yeah, okay, I don't know who Mike Zero is, but I'm gonna have to check this out.
He's a Star Wars YouTuber, yeah.
Look, I've got nothing against the guy. He's genius. I mean, he makes 35 videos a day or something. I don't know. Well, it's not that many, but that's hyperbolic. But honestly, I mean, geez.
What were you going to say, Laura?
Sorry.
Because you had a point you were making, Laura. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry, Laura.
I was just adding to the narrative about him then saying, like doing fallacy of authority, basically of saying someone's name like so and so, or like George Bush said the dog crossed the road and it was a big deal, kind of thing. That's what it does.
President Trump said it's just a dog.
Christy's asking you to pull up Mike Zero's.
I've never
that would be
seen
great.
This guy.
I would be down for that. I think we need. I think we need to see it.
I need to see
one
this
video
for myself.
We need to make a parody video on this whole dog thing.
Well, yeah, I don't want Mike Zero to actually like pull a Susie Lou on me. I don't know if he does that.
Yeah.
I think Mike Zero actually might be a simulation. That's my
theory. But it's funny. Hold on, I'll share.
He's from the future.
Yeah, I'll share.
I've heard that theory too. I think he might be like Simone. That movie Simone.
Yeah.
Yeah. Here's Mike Zero's channel, and he's always got like. Daisy Ridley is angry with Kathleen Kennedy. Daisy Ridley reveals untold truth of Kathleen Kennedy.
He's changed his thumbnails, it looks like.
He's like he's like TMZ.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly.
It's clickbait. Basically.
It is, but Mike Zero's so good at what he does. It's great. He does these like they're all like around 6-7 minutes of video, and he talks about everything about Star Wars. And it's funny because we always give him a hard time, but he's loosely Fandom Menace, which is hilarious because as soon as Rise of Skywalker was in the crapper, oh man, Mike Zero like did it pretty much after Last Jedi. Mike Zero did a 180, and
when Ryan called him out.
Yeah, Ryan Johnson called him the Zero or something like that.
Yeah, like like if you don't make it in the trash, we call it the Zero or whatever when they're shooting, paper in the trash and stuff. So they mocked him that way. Yeah.
Yeah, and so Mike Zero's been kind of it's funny. He's like a Fandom Menace by proxy, but it's hilarious because he just does this same thing. He recycles different topics and words them differently. You can see with the Daisy Ridley videos here, and he just goes on because I bet you. Hold on, we'll see what his Daisy Ridley video is like.
Yeah, there you go.
Do we got sound? Can you guys hear us?
Yeah.
The future of the Star Wars franchise seems to be quite expansive, not just with their books, novels, comics, and video games, but also their live-action and animated TV series to arrive on Disney+. And let's not forget about their new Star Wars live-action New Star Wars trilogy that's going to be hitting theaters in the near future by Disney and Lucasfilm. This is Mike Zero. Make sure to subscribe if you're new to the channel for future Star Wars content. Now, the thing about Disney Star Wars as of this moment right now is that Bob Iger and Bob Chapek are really trying their absolute best and are really hard at work on really developing a plan to reunite the fan base, to really bring the fans back together, to really make Star Wars more...
Okay, I can't
Word salad.
Where is he from?
There you go.
Where is Mike Zero from?
He's from the future.
He's from New York.
Oh my God. I'm like, I can't place where the heck he's from with how he's talking. A cross between Australia and the UK and Canada. I don't freaking know.
It looks like quarantine is not treating him well. It looks like some dude living in a cave,
Yeah.
Look,
he's like a man from 2032.
Oh my gosh.
I'm telling you, if you study what he does and the words he uses and all of his tags, he has the algorithm figured out because once you get one video of his, it never leaves your recommended. It is in there forever.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
I had to start a new channel in order to get rid of them.
Mike Zero, master of lockdown.
Stephen Walton. How long can you say nothing?
He perfected it. Zero perfected it when it came to Star Wars. Nothing.
Well, yeah, that's why his name's Zero, Mike Zero.
And listen,
Exactly.
hey, listen, Mike Zero.
I love that dude. I love him.
If you're out there, if you happen to be lurking and you're just like watching this video, hail to you, brother. You are Phantom Menace by proxy.
Oh yeah, we love you. We love you. The joke is because we love you, bro. We love you. It's great.
Yeah, but
Hey Drew, send him a StreamYard link. I think you can actually message him. I think I sent him some.
His DMs are open.
Yeah, I will get him on one of these times. But
Just for that, I'm subscribing to Mike Zero just so I.
You should.
Yeah.
I subscribe to him. I'm one of his 200 and some thousand.
For that Mike Zero, I'm subscribing to you just because I'm just freaking fascinated.
It's funny. Yeah, he literally rearranges everything he says, but it's usually the same thing. It's great.
Yeah, he's got it all
that's great.
figured out, and so much respect on that, and
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but honestly, getting back on topic.
I actually just got inspired. I'm going to do a complete video. I'm going to go into TubeBuddy. I'm going to play around with some keywords, and I'm going to make an entire video out of the top keywords.
I'm watching that video. I'm there, Wes, because I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm
gonna do it. I'm gonna take your word salad. I'm gonna rework it.
Speaker for the Dead said maybe Mike Zero is really the first Doctor from Doctor Who.
Oh, that's funny.
No, she's a girl now.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Sorry, didn't mean to rub salt in the wounds there.
Chickified her.
But no, the thing is I'm glad that we're doing panels like this, because again, this is so important, and I think people need to really start asking the right questions, especially of our elected officials, because there's going to have to be some rethinking here on the way that we've looked at these people, because perhaps whatever side of the aisle you're on, you may have voted the wrong way when it comes to your state and local officials, because a lot of their true colors are showing.
Yeah. It's a problem.
Exactly.
It's a problem, and we've always known well, I shouldn't say we've always known, but in the last 25 years, we've known what side the MSM is on, and we've seen the way they approach things.
They are
and how they're not really going after,
anything.
Anything, and I always want to try to spin it on the on the president. It's like, we could criticize the president. I could have done things faster and everything. Is sure. But can we look at where the source came from? Mm-hmm. Can we look at a certain NGO that we give $500 million to every year?
Mm-hmm.
That
who are you?
Do you know how much?
About?
Do you know how much money do you know how much money China gives the WHO?
40 mil.
Exactly.
20. Yeah.
No, it's $40 million.
40. Yeah.
We 500 million.
Yeah.
China
$500,000.
40 million.
That's why. That's why I'm not trying to say them by name, because they made a big deal about it. Susan.
Susan Wojcicki.
Oh, really?
Susan, middle name Karen Wojcicki.
The YouTube goddess.
You can
digital Karen.
Yeah, you cannot. you cannot put.
That's the name of her avatar in Tron.
Yeah.
Oh no, she's the new MCP, huh?
Yep.
Yeah, nice.
Oh man.
She's Tron Legacy Part 2. Yep.
But you cannot as we were talking about earlier with the doctors from California, you cannot have a video out there like that if it goes against what the World Health Organization puts out.
Yeah, and then there's this company before the president even said anything about UV light. There's this company working on it to have a LED UV light in ventilators that you put in your to have light shine, and that's what he meant by injecting. But still, no, you can't have it. They got their video struck, and they're trying to promote their business.
Yeah.
Oh, damn.
Yeah. And they're doing it.
They're doing it with air conditioning systems now and forced air systems. The UV thing's been around for a while. And they use carbon filters to slow the air down, so it can pass through the UV high intensity UV rays.
Has anyone ever been in a dark lab? Anyone?
Yeah.
At all? Like, I mean, a dark lab?
No.
No, because of the light. And why is that light there? Why is the fluorescent light? Why is everything there? Not one.
Yeah. Well, no, I'm just going to say that they do have containment labs that are almost entirely dark.
Oh,
so
yeah. I mean, for certain things.
Yeah.
But I'm saying overall, a general scientific chem lab and things like that, especially a viral lab.
Oh yeah, they're well illuminated.
Yeah. Well, this is why the thing that kind of fascinates me right now is the people like the SJW type people are still doubling down on that kind of rhetoric, and it's like, you got time to double down on your ridiculous, usual sort of, drum that you beat every day, but you're not paying attention to what's around you.
Yeah.
I mean, are these people really like that ignorant of what is going on?
Yes.
Sadly, yes.
And it shows you that these are college kids, or kids that were in college or not, or just fresh out of high school, that don't have a clear direction on their career. They might, but even still, someone like myself whose career is over.
Well,
okay, it's like, come on.
Well, Brian.
Oh, go ahead, Drew.
Well, no. What I was going to say is Lorena made a perfect point earlier, and it's the fact that nobody is teaching, and it's trickled down to the high schools now too. In high schools and colleges, nobody is getting the an accurate account of history anymore.
Oh,
nobody is being taught things like home ec or civics, things that are so important to understand. These are things that shape your adult life, and they're not being taught to our future generations. And
it's indoctrination. The word is indoctrination.
Yes. It's going to come back to bite them in the ass, because as much as I, scoffed at it when I was in high school, I'm like, oh, what the hell do I need home ec for? Guess what? I was in that home ec class. I learned how to balance a checkbook. I learned, how to cook for myself to a degree, other than paying attention to my father and learning a lot from him. But, in school, I learned those important basics. I learned, basic business management, things like that. They taught that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, now, they started teaching it in junior high, middle school, before you even got to high school.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now you don't get that. They're not teaching things. If they teach about the Civil War, you get an alternate account, or it's very doctored. You get
watered down.
World War II.
I've heard that in history books they're not even printing the actual text of the Constitution and the amendments. They're just saying First Amendment means this. Second Amendment means that.
Yeah, they're not even teaching government classes. My goodness.
No, there are no government classes anymore.
When I was in high school, I had to take and pass American government and civics. I had to know that. One of the biggest things that you had to know, you had to memorize the preamble of the Constitution.
Yes, you did.
I can still do it.
I used to joke that I couldn't say the preamble to the Constitution, but I could sing it.
Yes.
Schoolhouse Rock.
Yes.
Yes.
It's like, say what you want, but I learned so much about history and math and civics and all of that from a cartoon.
Yep.
And I feel like almost like it stopped at Gen X. Like we were the last fortunate people to get that type of education, and then it's gone downhill from there. And the millennials are kind of split. They got a little bit of it, but they didn't get what we got. And then
I mean, I guess you could. I don't like saying. I mean, I guess you could technically call me Gen Y, but I was born in the mid '80s.
yeah,
So I grew up. I grew up from anything from analog to dial up to digital, everything. So I'm able to use all formats, and I have formats on tape that if and books that if put out there would get taken off. You know, it's like, it's I mean, because it's just one of those things where they're trying to rewrite history or censor it.
well, there was I can and I can talk about this. Because I do a lot of my stuff on Bounding into Comics. I cover a lot of gaming. There was a game. Oh God, which Battlefield game was that? Or I think it was a Battlefield game, wasn't it, Brian? Where they actually changed.
Was it like a female character in a World War II game?
Yeah, and they
Like,
changed the historical situations in it. There was one where oh God, I want to say it was a Dutch battalion or something like that, held down this entire area in from like a siege, but they took the battalion out of that game, and instead they put in this character. One 16-year-old girl holds off an entire garrison of Nazis for
What?
Yeah.
And that's the thing, though, is that don't destroy. And even it's a game, I understand, but still, don't compromise history just to satisfy these, women being the forefront and women being put out there to show that they're able to do stuff. Stay cultural accurate, or do something that's fantasy.
Well, that's the thing, Alora, with this particular game that I'm referencing. It was marketed as being historically accurate.
Oh Lord!
And they do this.
Uh-huh. And that's a problem. But we're talking about the erasure of history, and that's why people called me, and this was before I had met you guys, and I was heavily on Twitter. But back when they were taking down some of the Confederate statues, and I said, just because I made comments about it on Facebook, I said, hey, look, sure, the Confederacy didn't have a great history with certain things, but the Civil War needs to be explained from both sides. There's a reason why the statues are there. There's a reason why history is represented, because both sides equally sacrificed, and there was a lot of life lost in that struggle. And the story of the struggle itself needs to be taught, the good and the bad.
That's exactly right. Because one of the things that I tell people, it's like, just because you take down a statue, you don't erase the history, and you erase the opportunity to teach and to inform others and future generations of exactly what happened with the Civil War.
Right. The purpose of
those who do not learn their history are doomed to repeat it.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's and even Christy just made that point too. It's our history, so we can learn from it.
It's absolutely. It's like I tell people, there were things that before I started researching my own family's history, there were things that I just took for granted. And the more that I research, the more that I find out just exactly how complicated the Civil War was. I mean, when I tell people that there were actually free Black slave owners who were in the South who fought for the Confederacy. Why? They wanted to protect what they had. Didn't make them very popular, but they did.
I think Stephen just made a great point here. They took down Confederate statues because it was Democrats that put them up. They needed to erase that part of history for optics.
That
There
is
were
exactly true. That is exactly right.
Yeah.
They were
Wow.
put up there to remind newly freed slaves of exactly who was in charge, especially when the Republicans, most of them, well, mine didn't. They pulled a Tom Brady and they left Cape Cod after the Civil War and came to Florida. You know, they
Wow.
you know, they basically, they basically left. And when the Republicans left and when construction was over, they went back north.
Yeah.
And those remaining in the South to enforce Jim Crow, they put up those statues to remind
That's right.
them exactly, the North may have won the war, but we run the priests. So you need to learn your place and stay in line. And these statues are here to remind you of that.
exactly.
Yep.
Yeah, at our core as human beings, and again, and you take the politics out of it, most people want to do the right thing. We want to, get along with our neighbors. We want to lift one another up. And the problem is, you have all these different entities out there that want to give us all this divisiveness and turn us against one another. And that's why this is so important when we have discussions like this, again, to
Mm-hmm.
not only come together because there's people in this chat from all over the globe, but to really kind of put it out there that, hey, look, freedom is not dead. If you believe in it and you ask the right questions and you go after, the truth, then you will you will keep that freedom for yourself. But you have to, put in the effort because there's a lot of people, sadly, right now that aren't paying attention and
Yeah.
aren't asking the right questions. And hopefully we can reach some of those folks and get them to think.
hmm
Mm-hmm.
and I was just gonna say, it's like every victory, almost every victory throughout history, like war won, whether it's in business, whether it's in geopolitics, whether it doesn't matter. It, the victors are those who want it more, who are willing to sacrifice monetary gain, who are willing to sacrifice social status, who are willing to sacrifice all these prestigious things to say, wait a minute, this isn't right. We need to do what's right. And I'm going to accomplish it. I'm going to accomplish it even if I die trying or go bankrupt trying or whatever it is. And it's the ones that want it more, and it pays off in such a great way when it all comes to fruition.
There you go, man. Good. Well said, Brian.
Yeah.
Culture Casino, that last thing that you had on your screen there, why don't you go ahead and talk about that little phrase you had up?
Oh, Benjamin Franklin's, those who would give up essential liberty to purchase a little temporary safety deserve neither liberty nor safety. That one.
Very, very good. Very good.
Yeah. That was actually from that statement. The first time it was put together, it was in a letter to governors many years before '76, and it was in regards to actually arming the citizenry as a militia at the time to protect their lands from others at that point in time. So while some of the history of that's not great, it is absolutely applicable. So anyway, there you are.
All right. Well, I know that here we're about 7 minutes outside of the 2 hour mark. I do want to kind of get to wrapping it up. I want to say, my God, I can't thank everybody enough for coming in here sharing your thoughts in the chat, participating with us, and all of you guys, no matter where you're at in the world, just remember, walk outside, enjoy that sunshine on your face. Don't let people hold you down. Go out and exercise your freedom, because I promise you, as long as you ask the right questions, as long as you search out the truth, it's there for you.
Mm-hmm.
So
Exactly.
I'll go around the panel. I'll let everybody have their final thoughts and plug their stuff. So go ahead, OG Star Wars.
Okay. Hi. Thank you, Drew, and everybody else on the panel. I'm glad to be here with you guys. And my final thought is, practice good health ethics. And so a lot of things that they say, share on the news, and, they tell us is wash hands, and all that, and don't touch your face. And that's something that everyone should have been raised with anyways by their parents. So practice good safety, health ethics. You feel ill, stay away. I mean, I'm preaching to the choir here, but most of all, if you're feeling great and stuff, go get outside, get exercise. As a person that teaches yoga and, taking care of yourself, move, get out there and move, get out there and get some sun. Always be careful as well, and practice your freedom as well. But thank you again, Drew, for having me here. And you can find me on my channel, OG Star Wars. Tuesday Lore is what I do, and we talk about Star Wars. And Thursday is the Coffee Chats, 9 a.m. And we again discuss Star Wars as well. And I am also on Toxic Femininity, where we talk, about pop culture in general, and Babe the Menace, and Queen's Council as well. And so those are the areas you can find me. You can find me on Twitter. So thank you again. And I'll pass this on to Lorena.
All right, Lorena Creole, go ahead, take it away.
Hey everyone, I'm Lorena Creole on Twitter. I do not have a YouTube channel yet, but I am working on that. I tweet about Star Wars, Star Trek, pop culture, and of course politics, I got my start on Twitter because of politics, because in the words of the great Andrew Breitbart, politics is downstream from culture. So remember that.
Mm-hmm.
While it's great to talk about pop culture, it's important, but also remember all that stuff's heading downstream into politics. So we got to pay attention to that. Got to pay attention to our freedoms. Definitely be literate on the Constitution. The Constitution was written so that everyone from the educated person to the boy pushing the plow to the farmer doing their crops can understand exactly what this country was based on and what their rights are. So with that said, you can find me and a whole lot of other streams on Thursdays at 7 p.m. on This Week in BS with Justin Proper, and also with Wes on that show as well that I'm on. Also on Thursdays at 9 p.m. on the Queen's Council, and I'm there with OG, also with the mod of mods, Christy, as well. Yes. And you can also find me, let's see, Saturday on the Fourth Wave when that comes out. I think that's at 7. And then on Tuesdays at 6:30, TR4 with author Stephen Walton, with Jane Theory, and also with Scott and Sporky News. And I am also on the Babe the Menace when that comes up monthly. And sometimes I pitch hit for Toxic Femininity when someone needs a break and there's a slot available. So with that, I'm Lorena Creole on Twitter, and give me a follow if you are so inclined.
Yeah, and sometimes she pops in and graces me with her presence.
Happy to do it, Drew. You're a little light.
All right, Wes Moody.
Hi, everybody. So I am Wes Moody, owner of the Wes Moody Webcast, as seen on Twitch.com, YouTube.com, and I do have a Facebook page as well, all/Wes Moody Webcast, all one word. And I talk about pop culture, current events, occasional conspiracy theories, occasional car talk, and I will vlog about whatever the heck I want to because it is my webcast. And And I also occasionally feed ducks. Apparently, I am the lord of the waterfowl now, if any of you have watched that. Anyway, thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Culture Casino.
Well, hello. I'm Culture Casino. You probably don't know me. I'm pretty new. I just barely crossed 100 subscribers. But you can find me on my channel. I do a lot of videos. You can find me on Twitter. I say it's a lot of very offensive things on Twitter. And here I just talk about pop culture. I talk about pop culture on my channel. I do not talk politics there. I'm grateful to Drew for letting me come here to do that because I don't get a chance to do that anywhere else. And you can come there and find out, how bad Westworld is. You can come there and find out how bad other things are, because I am kind of like, the sad news guy when it comes to pop culture. Although I did give some good news on a couple videos this last week. Anyway, that's it. So hopefully you guys, show up, subscribe if you want, just watch a video, that's all I ask. Anyway, thanks for having me on, Drew. You guys are awesome.
All righty.
Yeah, great.
And last but not least, Brian the Observer.
What's going on, everybody? So in addition to good health practices, make sure that you educate yourself, follow the money, see where these people come from, where they got their degrees, who are they hanging out with, where have they been, what kind of clubs are they in, what kind of groups, what kind of factions, because that's going to determine something, especially if they have a collective goal in mind.
Yes.
With that being said, you can find me on youtube.com/Brian the Observer, and that's BRION. It's not a misspelling. That's actually how I spell my name. And also on Twitch, and also on BitChute. Of course, on Twitch, it's also Brian the Observer. And then I want to give a special thank you to According to Christie for dropping the links in the chat. I'm also on Twitter at Warrior Sphere. So I just want to say thank you, Drew, for having me on. And you could find me not only on my channel, I'll show up here and a few other channels on the Fandom Menace. I'm kind of like that guy to come in and say the things that are not supposed to be said in decorum. I'm sometimes the panelist on...
You're a maverick.
Yeah, I'm Maverick. Sometimes a panelist on Creepy Little Books High Strangeness, which is live right now. Go ahead and check that out. They're talking about the guy who went to hell and back tonight. So go ahead and check that out after this show. With that being said, I want to thank you again and subscribe to all these wonderful channels. And check out sickestofall.com. We're nuking the air.
Yes. All right. So thank you again, chat, for stopping in, hanging out with us. We shared what I believe is one of the most important streams I've ever done. I want to thank again the great panelists that I had, because the bottom line is most of you in the chat, no matter where you're from, but I know a lot of you are Americans. You guys are great Americans. Panel here, you guys are great Americans. And I want to just remind you before I go, take care of yourselves and each other. I'll be back this Thursday with the Pegasus Actual Podcast. And I might have a special stream coming up on Monday with Chris Knight and on Tuesday with Wes Moody. Looking forward to the Tuesday stream, especially because Wes Moody and I are going to really get into the legend of Sasquatch. So
yes, we are. Can't wait.
Oh, Sasquatch. Yes, that's awesome.
Yes. So
I saw one run across the freeway. I swear to God.
You strap him to your car like Harry and Henderson?
Are you sure it wasn't Chewy?
Yep. Might have been. I don't know. This is somewhere in Oregon at the bottom of a canyon. So.
But yeah, make sure that you guys catch my work, catch my writing on boundingintocomics.com. Check out sickestofall.com, where myself, Wes, Brian, we all write, and a number of people you'll recognize from around the fandom. So make sure you read us. We'll continue to get content out as quick as we can. I know we're a startup website, so just be patient, but we are getting at least an article or two a day up, so that are brand new. So keep checking back every day, and please support our site. And I want to thank you very much again, chat, and for the panel. And I appreciate you all. Peace.